What do you anticipate the life expectancy of this craft, and what do you expect to see in terms of the experiments that are done, as well as the potential findings, and how is the collaboration between all the countries going?
Well, first of all, the President's budget proposal extends the station to 2020, and that's a good thing. It's a very good thing, because you would never build a facility on Earth and then cancel it a year later. So that's great.
The mechanics of this, though, are designed to last that long?
Oh, yeah, probably longer, actually. If we have enough spare parts, you know, things are going to break. Your house, your air conditioning breaks. As long as we have spare parts, and there are areas here where we stow equipment that are spare parts, and the shuttle's been bringing up lots of spare parts since it's going away. These vehicles can also bring up equipment. So as long as we have the ability to repair things that break, we can extend the station to 2020 and maybe even beyond that.
Which country is going up next, or we, or how does
now
the schedule?
It's now international. So we have a Japanese on board, we have Russians on board, and we have Americans on board at this time right
What's
now.
the total number of people on board?
6 people today.
What's the total capacity?
Well, with a shuttle there, we had 13, and 13 is the most you'll probably ever have on the station. Maybe you could get 16 if you brought another Soyuz up, but that's typically not how we do it. So 13 is probably the max.
Are there opportunities for socializing with other crew members? Do you have a family meal, if you will, a diplomatic meal?
Yes, we do.
Scheduled and regular time to talk about the experiments and the broader plans for what the other countries want to do on board?
Right. When a shuttle docks, the commanders get together and they schedule those meals. They say, well, hey, how about after the first EVA we have a meal, and maybe after the third EVA we have another meal, and then the day before we leave, let's have another meal. So it's like Thanksgiving. They brought food, we brought food, everybody had food. We met here in the center of the station, and we broke bread together, which was very cool. The Japanese one night made space sushi for us for the first time in history, which was very cool to have that with the Japanese folks there. And it is a good time. One of the neatest things for me when I spent my time on the space station was we ate every meal together. 2 Russians and an American, every single meal. And you know, that was really a neat experience for me to be able to break bread with those guys, talk with them about their families, about their lives, about their country, and exchange information. So,
how long were you on the space station?
152 days the first time, and then this time 15.
Talk about the adjustments to your body. I mean, given that this was sort of a short vacation, if you will, versus the extended stay earlier, perhaps this was easier than before. Or is integrating into the environment the tough part? Does it get old after a while and fatiguing? Or is re-entry perhaps more physically taxing than actually living up there?
Those are good questions. For long duration, I had a long duration mindset, so I knew I was going to be there for a while. And once I got to space, I adjusted very quickly to zero gravity in the environment, so I felt very comfortable through 152 days. Coming home was very tough. It was physically tough. You know, I was dizzy all the time for the first day, and I actually threw up a couple times because of the motion sickness.
Once you got home,
once I got to Earth, right. But when I went back on the shuttle...
Did you feel like you were constantly rocking?
Well, you know,
after a long day fishing?
Yeah, very similar, except since we're going around the same direction all the time, your body wants to turn you in that direction. So you'd be walking down a hall.
You just feel like you want to
turn into the wall.
Long-term gravity effects due to?
Yes.
So you had to think about not turning into the wall?
And I had my right hand out usually to hold myself and then walk slowly. But the interesting thing was, 24 hours later, I was gone.
Right, fine.
Now the shuttle mission was a lot different. It was very quick. It was 15 days. I adapted very quickly when I got to orbit. I felt like I'd been there all my life, which I've been there 5 months of my life, so it was very easy. Again, coming home was the most difficult part for me because you're hot, you're tired, and you're coming back from zero gravity to Earth's gravity, and that's difficult.
Well, let me ask you this. In a weightless environment, is that potentially cause much muscle atrophy? Do you have to physically exert yourself, or is simply all the moving around you do to get around or to stay controlled in zero gravity enough exercise?
Well, it's not enough exercise because In 0G, you never use your lower body.
Yeah.
You're always using your hands and your arms. So we have to exercise 2.5 hours a day on the station. And I used a treadmill or a bicycle, stationary bicycle, and we also had a weight machine, resisted exercise device. And they have an even better one now. And so you're actually doing squats and bench press and
You
curls.
put physical weights on yourself.
Well, actually, it uses pistons. It uses a piston idea and gives you more pressure. When I was up there, it was a cable machine, so it's kind of like the ones you see on TV where you just add a little more resistance with a cable, with a rubber band, and you pull on that. Now it uses pistons, but it's the same concept, right? You're pulling against an air pressure, and you just increase that pressure.
2.5 hours a day. And is that just based on your own desire to stay in shape, or that's actually the physical demands by the medical staff to...
Well, that's what they want you to do. You don't have to do that. But
Yeah.
I only missed one day. I exercised 151 out of 152 days. It's like anything, right? Some days you just go, man, I really don't want to
do it, but you have to do it.
But
Make an
I
act of
forced
will.
myself to do it, and I'm very glad I did because I recovered. In 3 weeks, I was lifting the same amount of weights. I was running just like before. And typically it takes, for 5 months in space, it takes 6 weeks to recover.
Were you a little wobbly other than the gravity effects? I mean, just from lack of use of certain muscles?
Yeah, I couldn't run for a couple weeks just
Oh,
because
really?
it's so
Yeah.
hard to lift your legs. You have big muscles that you keep in shape in space, but the little muscles atrophy, and so it takes a while for them to remember how to work in tandem so that you could run or sprint. And that's part of the rehabilitation that we do.
Now, you talked about the Japanese sushi in space. Did we get any Nebraska beef going?
We had a little beef, but I don't think it was Nebraska beef. We had, it's freeze-dried,
Yeah.
basically like a meal ready to eat that the military guys eat in the field. And we also had dehydrated food that we had to add hot water to. And it wasn't bad.
It's all right.
But,
Is that one of the things you look forward to coming home?
Oh yeah, I had my biggest meal when I first got back was a corn-fed Nebraska steak with a baked potato. And so
We would have expected no less. Good.